Back at it. It's the Chief, Kaseek Ortiz.
Tyrant333, and this is Figure It the Fuck Out.
Yup.
And that's what we've been doing. A lot of, man. This Figure It the Fuck Out shit, this shit has been rolling out lovely. I will love to say that. We got a great topic again here with quality versus quantity. And I know that's a debate in a lot of different fields, especially in music, especially with the artists.
Yeah.
So I think that's how we're going to break it out right there is, you know, me as a manager dealing with artists, I constantly have dealt with that with my brother, Ben Grizz. Shout out to Princip, wearing his hat right now. Some of the other artists I've seen come in and out the studio, they're always battling or teetering back and forth between the topic of, should I put out 1,000 records, a bunch of music, or should I make the best music I possibly can and hit them over the head with the best music I possibly can and just keep refining and tweaking that music? So that's a very, I think, interesting topic to touch on. What are your thoughts on that? What you think?
Yeah, to dive deep right into it, you know, if you had asked me this shit like maybe 3 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even just a year and a half ago, really, I probably would have said, you know, focus on the quality. I was real heavy with quality. Like, yo, it needs to be top tier, you know, the best top tier quality that you can get for a record, for a music production, mixing and mastering. And it's funny because like now I've kind of double backed, you know, now I'm actually kind of believing that we should, as artists or creators, naturally, whether, you know, you're focusing on writing songs or creating content like we're doing now, I think we need to crank that shit out. And my standpoint on we should be releasing a lot of music or releasing a lot of content is because naturally you're going to get better at it. And I think the more repetitions, the more you do something, the better it's going to get. Yeah, some of the songs or some of the music or, you know, creations that you make, not every single one is going to be like, this is a 10, this is a 10, this is a 10. You're going to have a few 7s, a few 5s, or, you know, a few of these in there. But like the more you do it at a high level, I think your experience is going to go up. And then with that experience, now when you put up shots, now you're just hitting 3s all the time.
And that's part of figuring it the fuck out right there.
Facts. Like, I've been in this mode where it's like, now I'm just like, I'm actually in a different space where like when I create something, I love it so much. So I want to just crank it out. So like from the inception of me choosing the beat, well, the beat really chooses me, but from the inception of me choosing the beat, I write to it. As soon as I write to it, I'm already like hyped up. I'm like, yeah, I need to record this. So I'll go and record it. And once I'm done recording it, I need to be like, all right, I'm still in love with it. I need to mix and master it, get it ready. Yeah. As soon as it's done, I pretty much want to, here's the cover, here's the artwork, and here's a birthday. And what I mean by birthday is giving it a date for distribution. Like, here you go. Like, I love this shit.
This is when it's touching the masses.
Yeah. I love it. And because I love it, I want you to hear what it is I love now. Because we ran into this issue naturally where in this year, I'm going to be unloading the clip of all my older music. And though I love my old music, it's great. It's not even old music. It's just music that nobody's heard yet. But because I did it a year or 2 years ago, I'm a little bit less in love with it because the stuff that I'm creating now on current time is so much, I feel like it's so much better than that shit. So I'm like,
us being 90s babies, we came in to music or witness music, watching music as there was more artist development. It took more time for people to pop. You had to sit there and just refine that one record over and over and over again until or keep pitching that one record over and over again. And some people still take this method until somebody in the industry, like, you know what, I want to take a chance on that record.
Yeah.
You could have got 1,000 no's before you got that one yes.
Yeah.
You know? So that's kind of like where that quality versus quantity conversation comes in.
Yeah.
And then you had some of these older albums, even the stuff like Eminem, 50 Cent, like Jay-Z. These were like projects.
Yeah.
Featured
like
there
super
was a lot
developed. Everybody's all the executive producers into it. There was so many hands in it that just made it sound amazing.
they weren't gonna even release that shit if it didn't hit a certain quality or caliber.
Right.
So that's what we came up watching, those type of artists.
Right.
And that's what kind of developed that type of thought process.
What changed it in that sense, I guess you could say, for me, was watching people like Tupac, even 50 Cent, and DMX, because DMX had dropped an album. He dropped 2 albums in 1 year, both went platinum.
That was like, oh, 2 albums 1 year. Like, oh shit. Like, like dang. Like, and that's what we came up off. Like, it took a long time to refine this. The fact he dropped 2 albums, that was like, oh my God, this is so much music.
Yeah, this is so much music. And it's all fire music at that. But where I was getting at with those, you know, DMX and Tupac, is that they stayed in the studio creating. Like Pac, before he passed, he probably stayed in the studio. He was writing like 8 songs a day type shit. Like he was in the studio from, let's call it like a 9-to-5 job. You're there from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And by then you already had like 3 albums done.
Yeah. Like, oh, if we can, and I'm sure a lot of people dream about this, if we could tap into the archives of some of these unreleased records that some of these artists have, there's thousands of records that they just sat on, like you said.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a year or 2 went by, then they didn't feel the same about it.
Yeah.
Or the label didn't want to push it.
Right.
And it didn't come out.
Life changes. Like, for example, I'll use Bomb First as like the guinea pig. When I created Bomb First, I really created that right around the time that George Floyd was murdered. And it kind of put the icing on the cake because George Floyd was murdered, because I was already writing the song. But then it was like, bam, all of a sudden George Floyd gets murdered. And I was like, oh shit, I need to just, and I honestly should have just released that song then. Not to say I'm clout chasing, but if I had released a song then, it probably would have geographically did better. It would have pushed the message I was going for.
The climate was there for it.
Yeah, the climate was there for it. And even though I was kind of making timeless music, but had I attached it to a place where people are already emotional, it would have, the message I was putting in the song would have really reached the people the way I wanted to.
Yeah. Not like, so, and in a reverse of what you're saying is then you dropped it, what, recently?
Yeah, I dropped it this year. I wrote that song. When did I don't even know when George Floyd ended up passing away. You know what I'm saying? Like, time has gone by, but I want to say it's probably 2021.
Yeah, like, you don't know the exact date. I get what you're saying.
I don't know the exact date, but it's like, think about that. Like, that shit is almost 2-3 years old and I'm finally releasing it. Like, it's cool to release the music. To me, the message is still the same, but did it resonate as it probably would have had something had happened? And I don't want to have to wait for...
More people inside because of COVID. There was more of that civil rights walking around and stuff going on.
Black Lives Matter, everybody walking around protesting.
Black Lives Matter done ran away with the bag on.
Yeah.
Since then.
Right.
So people don't even trust them as much as they did back then, you know? So,
and that doesn't stop my feelings, you know what I'm saying? I know it doesn't stop your feelings. Like, the shit that I said in that song is real. I literally said, how many Malcolms and Martins need to get shot up before we realize what type of shit that we part of? Like, that right there is like, I am saying some shit. And I was really trying to deliver a message to let people know, like, you know, don't forget.
So what he's saying basically is what you're feeling inside you in that time when you're creating, sometimes it's for a reason.
Yeah.
You were supposed to put that out around that time, in that when you're in that energy, in that spirit, when you're feeling what you're feeling.
If you believe in a higher power or a God or whatever, that's kind of like the universe speaking through you spiritually. And that message was supposed to come out. You know, these ideas that we naturally get, some of it sure might be man-made in our own heads, but a lot of it is kind of given. You could be standing there and then bam, a light bulb goes off and you have this crazy idea, which might be $1 million idea, and you not doing anything with it. And it's kind of like, now you're just leaving it out into the universe for it to be picked. Like we spoke about in another episode where we manifested so much. And it's like, if you don't act on it, it's almost like somebody else ends up getting blessed with the idea.
Yeah, it floats around until it hits the right brain. That's like, you know what, let me put some motion behind this idea, this crazy thought that
we were hoping that you were going to be the one that took the bait and run with the idea. You didn't, so we floated this over to somebody else that will. And to push that agenda, you know, I fell in love with the music. I still love that song, but it probably would have did better had I dropped it when I wanted to.
Yeah. And we saw the shift in music yet again.
Yeah.
Where you could take 2 years to drop an album.
Yeah,
people wouldn't say anything about that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden 2020, maybe before that, 2018 hit. It's been kind of going on. The
I feel like
was
2018, where you're saying 2018 is probably when it skyrocketed, where it's like, now you can't take a year.
Then it went even crazier when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Because everyone's inside.
Right.
So it's like, Now it's like you can't take a year. Then you got guys like NBA YoungBoy dropping like, what, 8 albums, something crazy, 12 albums in 1 year.
Yeah. And it's not even just him, because Crooked Eye used to do that. I want to say somebody else used to do that. Papoose did that. Papoose released an album every month for the entire year.
Lil Wayne, all those remixes he did, and tapes he did, Drought 3, Drought 1, Drought 2.
So like it's always been kind of sprinkled in there by like a few artists. Like this artist will do it, this artist might. But now we're in a climate where it's like every artist is doing this all day, every day.
To keep up, to stay in the loop, to stay relevant, you gotta put out mass content.
Right.
And that goes into the quality part of things now.
Yes.
So we went from the quality. And we're going to circle that all back around. But now we're in a space where people are putting out 1,000 records in 1 year, like something crazy. The distributors are going wild. Not all of it.
I forgot what it was. I think it's like 200,000 songs are like uploaded. At least 100,000 songs are uploaded a day, or supposedly on Spotify and all these platforms.
So, and that's another thing. This is a good question here. You're gonna be like, ooh, with this one. So, is quality subjective?
Yeah, unfortunately, because
we might look at something and say it's trash.
Yeah.
But some of these people might have somebody who's bumping that record.
I'll take this from an engineer standpoint. I shouldn't say unfortunate, because art, like the baseline of art, is subjective. What I might think is beautiful, you might think is ugly, or vice versa. Now let me get that part out the way. Now, from an engineer standpoint, I am super heavy on this, like, I want to record it so it has the right levels, it has the right sound, it has the right microphone, it has the right plugins attached to it. It makes it sound so crazy. But then you have people that like Xxx Tentacion, who came out and it sounded like he recorded it in a basement on a broken microphone. The quality wasn't there, and it didn't matter as long as the message was hitting. And because
Kendrick Lamar too.
Kendrick Lamar's one of my favorite albums is was it Mad Kid? Wow. I'm drawing the blank because my brain is ADHD mode.
Good Kid, Bad City, or Mad City?
Good Kid, Bad City, Mad City. That, or Section 80 actually. When that came out, it was recorded on like a crappy speaker and a broken microphone that they didn't realize, I guess, was broken. I believe Mixed by Ali said he didn't realize it was broken until later on. And when he realized it was broken, they just kind of stayed with it, because it was the energy in itself that was involved with the record that made it beautiful. So like naturally people were attracted to the flaws. That's what made it beautiful. It wasn't about how perfect you can get it. It wasn't about the perfect microphones, the perfect stand, the perfect plugins, the perfect program. It was literally created spiritually. Like, are you creating?
The artist who created it, the moment, the people that were in the room,
the moment
timing, there was a whole
the hungerness, the gritty, the trenches of it. The smell. They probably had different smells in the room, like whether it be candles or the type of weed they were smoking. It was like a certain grit to it that gave it that sauce.
Even like a lot of people, when they look at artists, they're like, "Oh, I like his earlier music." His music when he first came out, because they had a different type of hunger to them, and even the music might have been mixed way worse. It sounded way worse. Like people even say that about Gucci right now. He's on better quality, I would say, sounding records right now than he was back in the trap days.
Even his style is super polished, but then people still rather.
They want to hear the gritty, grungy, back in 06 when you ride around the Gucci.
When it sounded like you was fucking flipping bricks and you was recording the shit in the trap house type shit. They like that sound.
So there's going to be a whole group of people who gravitate to that. And then other people who are like, I like this new Gucci. He's like, he's got the best beats now. He's with the best producers. He's clearly in the studio doing the industry stuff.
And that's the best thing about the music and the art in itself, is that not only can the new people enjoy that new music, but if you personally like that old shit, it's there. You can go get that. Whether it's an album, CD, like physical form, or streaming form, like you can go get that.
Like Jay said, you want to hear my old music, go buy my old album or something.
Right,
like that.
Right. And we all do it, you know what I'm saying? Not every day am I listening to like some hardcore or whatever shit. Like sometimes I might feel R&B mode and I might go throw on some Belle Biv DeVoe because I want to feel like I'm 8 years old again, watching my mom dance and sing to, that girl is poison. Like, like maybe I just want to feel that way. Or maybe I want to listen to Rick James because You know, Super Freak is.
And that's getting into some timeless stuff there with
Yeah.
all that. But, you know, with the whole quality versus quantity thing, I mean, and then you got, on the other hand, I would say, now to circle that all back around, we got a bunch of artists dropping a bunch of different records, right?
Yeah.
Young Boy dropping a bunch of music. Russ, didn't he even said that it took him dropping a record every week or so.
I wish I knew the exact
blow.
number, but he dropped a record every week until he blew up, and he ended up creating, you know, before he did that, he created like 11 mixtapes before it. And then he was like, when he studied SoundCloud, he realized that as long as he posted something on this platform, the first song would always get the most streams. So he just said, instead of me dropping a 20 record album, a 20 song album, I'm just going to break up these 20 songs and then just drop them every single week, because I at least know that I might get 100 plays here, 50 plays here, but not get 10 plays here. But if I just spaced it out and did this every week.
And that's a great formula. Like pumping singles really is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Putting out a single every week. But let's talk about this now. As an artist, as a creative, as I've seen it when me dealing with artists, they get into that studio, boy, and all of a sudden they got a bunch of records compiled. And the next couple weeks you're talking to them, you could have just talked to them about the single thing. Next thing they're like, yo, should I put a project together?
That's me.
You know, like that's how it happens.
Yeah.
And that's the creativity of it. Like maybe their fans were asking them for a project. Maybe they just
That's me right now. I'm thinking about taking all that old shit and like, you know what, let me just compile it and put it in a project, because I still love the records. I don't want to have to wait, you know, like I didn't want to drop bomb. I didn't want to have to wait for another catastrophe to happen to another black or brown person for me to drop this record. Because then it would make me feel like I had to wait.
The moment.
Like I don't want to do that. Like I hope that shit never happens ever again. And if I was to wait, I could be waiting forever. And honestly, I should be waiting forever for that type of record.
Hey.
Like I shouldn't have to wait for, you know, our people to get hurt in order to drop the record. That's not even what I did that for.
And there's the other part of that, like life isn't promised.
Yeah.
You think you got 5 years, you might not.
Right. You could have dropped that record. Like even us doing these, like I say, like we kind of just need to drop the shit, because you never know where somebody is in life right now. Like somebody might be watching us that we don't know that is watching us. They might not comment on the videos or anything. If anything, we get more hate than we get the love, which is crazy. So, you know what I'm saying? If y'all watch this shit and you see this shit, please say something, you know, positive about it, because these haters are just making us think like, yo, what the fuck are we doing? But
fuck a hater.
Facts. But I'm just saying, like, there's somebody who might be watching this shit who needs to hear what it is that we need to say.
Yeah.
They might have been on their last straw today, like, yo, fuck life. I'm either gonna quit my job or quit music, quit creating, or quit life. And like they watched something that me and you did and just got re-inspired. And they were like, you know what, I might stick around. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to do this. We inspire people.
Dust that vault off, man. If you got creative projects, creative music, whatever that you're just sitting on, figure out a way to just get it out there.
Right.
Because when you do that and you remove yourself from the opinions of what everyone else thinks, then you're just going to start creating and just doing stuff and not care what anyone says about it. And then that's what's going to make you evolve and get better and better.
Yeah. Evolution is literally going to happen as long as you're taking the steps forward, you're being consistent and putting the work in. Evolution is going to happen because of it, whether you wanted to or not. If you don't want it to, then that means you need to not move at all. And what I mean by not moving, I mean don't write music, don't get out of your bed, because then that's when evolution actually happens. And what I personally face as an engineer when I'm recording a lot of clients, what ends up happening is whether they're newer clients or like they've been a vet and they've been doing music forever, what happens is that they come to me and I give them something so fire that they'll keep recording these records, but then like a year down the road, they don't release those records I gave them. But because they've been working with me in the studio for a whole year, now they're evolving. They're sounding better. They're writing better. Their production is getting better. And then it almost makes them afraid to release these records because they feel like, these didn't stand, like these aren't as good as these ones. And it happens because of evolution. I always let people know, like, Shout out to Low Key. You know what I'm saying? I have to put you in it again, bro. You came in here and you came through and recorded a bunch of records. And then we started booking sessions to re-record the songs that we already re-recorded because you felt like you could do them better. And I had always told my boy, like, yo, don't focus on that. If you can do better, that means you could just write a new song and do that new song better. Release the old material because that old material is still you. That was the best version of yourself that day. And that's what I always push for artists when I record them, is that I want you to give me the best performance that you can today. I don't care if you can do it better tomorrow. Yeah, that's great. You can do it better tomorrow, but tomorrow you should have a new song. Let this old shit fly. Let the shitty shit go out. Let people fall in love with who you were at that moment. And then when you start to release new music, people are going to be like, yo, I remember I heard this record. And now this record is better. And oh shit, I heard this record is better. Yo, he just dropped an album. This shit sounds amazing.
It's all part of the catalog.
And that growth, that's real life community building. Because if people support you, you know, they're going to be like, damn, I really just watched you grow into the artist that you are.
Yeah.
And they have that development of love is like, you're not going to be able to get, like, you can't get that shit.
And another part of that is, so let's talk about this. We see these artists who are really trying to get into music, or, you know, these new artists getting into it. They see these artists make one record and then blow up.
Yeah.
And they think that's all it takes. Like, oh, I just got to make one fire record.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, everyone's going to just, I'm going to blow up. Right. I'm going to be chilling with Jay-Z, and you know, I'm gonna be dating Ice Spice next, and you know, all I need is one record. But
I just have to say that my booty hole is brown, and I'm gonna go. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, and I've been there as an artist, and like, for one, artists need to stop taking the blinders off. If we're in this race, understand that you are in your own lane and you're only racing yourself. Stop taking the blinders off to see if that grass is greener or what that person is doing over there. That shit does not fucking matter, because their story is not going to be your story. As
everyone's different.
As like, you know, like, I know when you take that pill, it's real salty. It's real sour. Like, God damn it, bro. Like, I didn't want to hear that shit. You know, I want to hear you say, do this shit and you're going to blow. It's not like that. Understand that even those people that we're talking about, you know, the Sexy Reds, the Ice Spices and stuff like that, even though they might be independent and have certain situations, please also understand that there was other people in that room helping creating this record to make this blow for a reason.
Yeah.
As ratchet as it might be, somebody else, clearly she had a solid relationship with somebody in the room, or knew somebody that could be in that room that was like, we're going to do this, and this is what we're going to do with that.
Because even with the talent, for you to blow that quick, it's going to take some connections behind the scenes and maybe even some money, something. It's not going to just be all right, this record's that hot. Like, let's put it up. Like, nah, like it's going to happen with a little bit more pieces put in place, like he's saying.
And for the artists out there that just can't fathom that idea, you're not actually chasing longevity in this game. And if longevity is not what you want, then you're not necessarily really contributing anything positive to our culture. And our culture is hip hop. And a lot of these people that might be hot right now, they're not going to be hot next year. And it's because of the decisions that they make. Some of them are actually coming into this hoping to be a one-hit wonder. They just want one hit. They want to make it. They want to make it a moment and then be out. And that's okay too. But like, you're not really contributing the most to the culture.
And also, you know, just know what your plan is. And if that's your game plan, that's your game plan.
Right. There's a lane for it. I'm not telling people not to do it, because there's definitely a lane for it, you know?
But roll that into something else, another business idea, a business plan that you got going on, or some type of other creativity, some other type of content you're going to make, reality TV, whatever that is.
If that ratchet song is the vehicle that you need to use to get into a different position, go ahead and use that vehicle.
I feel like Sexy Red, she knows she's going to be able to get a bag off tricks for the rest of her life. Right. She don't care if she never makes another hit record again.
Right.
You know, she's got the tricks on her reel the rest of her life.
Right.
You know, just that you know, that record she got on. I don't want to say the praise, but, you know, and then you see other artists that really cultivated a big fan base over the years. Some of these are the older artists like J. Cole.
Yeah.
He could drop a record every 5 years. It don't matter. Rihanna, it don't matter. You know, like
Schoolboy Q went quiet for like a real hot minute, has like no posts on his social media, and then randomly came out in February and was like, all right, I'm getting ready to release an album. And now everybody, it didn't matter because he already had that community built that as soon as he was ready, they were already there, ready to hear it. I can't wait.
People who would look like megastars, and then like if they want to take 5 years off, we won't even know. We won't even hear about them again.
And just understand, if you're an independent artist, you can't necessarily do that. You have to build that community first. That's the difference. That a lot of artists think that I'm just gonna drop a whole album and then I'm gonna take a hiatus. That does not work for you. I'm sorry. If you did not build a community and you're not having fans hitting you up on a daily, like, please drop music, nobody's really checking for you. And even those people aren't necessarily checking for you. They're only checking
fall off
for
the
you.
face of the earth.
Yeah, they might check for you for like a month, but you know, if that's like trying to wait for somebody else to show up when they know damn well they're not going to show up.
You got to hit them over the head with consistency until you crack the code. Until you're making consistent revenue off this music stuff. And even then, you know, things could change. Like look what happened to Eminem. A lot of the stuff he was putting out, people looked at it as real high quality, but like it seemed like some of his music didn't age as well.
It didn't.
You know, and that also happens too. Some of the music that people didn't like as much back then, those are mega hits now. Then that goes back into that being all subjective with the quality and stuff like that, and the relevancy. And all right, some of it's like, all right, this song pops on TikTok now when you bring it back from the old times, you know? So like now it's got reboot life. There's a lot of different factors there with the quality versus quantity conversation.
And to back like the Eminem part thing up is that when he came out with a lot of those records, that's when he did have a relapse and he was back on, you know, drugs or whatever addiction that he was kind of going through. And like, had he not dropped that, he probably wouldn't have grown up out of that.
Yeah.
I think him dropping those projects, whether they were good or not, it helped him get past that threshold that he needed to so he can get back into the Eminem that people love.
That was a period of his life he had to deal with. Put it out in the music.
And we were blessed to be able to see it. Whether we liked it or not, we were blessed to see somebody say, fuck it, this might not be my best material, I'm just going to push it. And people supported and then helped him get out of that.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a major thing right there. So it's something that a lot of artists would think about, putting the quality out. You always want to do that, but the more quality, let me slow it down. So the more quantity you put out is the more quality you'll be able to build because of that quantity. Because you're putting out so much, it's so consistent, you're sticking on the path, then all of a sudden it gets better and better and better.
Right.
You know?
Just because you go,
that's the formula.
Right. Just because you go to a basketball court and try to shoot a 3-pointer and you don't hit it, that doesn't mean that you should stop. You know, you keep shooting, you keep practicing to the point where it's like every time you can just hit that 3-point with your eyes closed. You just keep hitting it. It doesn't matter. Now you're Steph Curry.
Yep.
Because you kept putting up the shots.
You can go in the booth like Lil Wayne and just spit a whole verse verbatim, not writing nothing.
Not writing nothing.
But he had to write a lot to get to the point where you don't have to write no more.
Yeah, right.
These MCs, they had to rock small shows, build it up so they can rock stadiums. You know, so it's all a buildup.
Yeah, you can't skip that step. You can't throw somebody. I'll use Ice Spice, no disrespect, but, you know, out of nowhere, she started doing big shows. And everybody kept complaining, yo, she doesn't know how to perform. No shit. Because she went from, in that sense, she kind of went and skipped a step.
Never did the bars, the lounges, the clubs. Like,
maybe she did. I don't know.
Rolling Loud from what I saw. Like
all I see, everybody seemed like they discovered her shaking that ass, and then here you go, you're on Rolling Loud, and you're blowing up, but you don't know your lyrics. You don't, and it happens, and it's okay. That's the shitty part. That's where artist development is. Understand that there's not too much artist development happening now in the industry unless you actually have a good coach around you. But just understand that you yourself, as the artist, as the creator, you are the one that's figuring it out. This is what this whole shit is about, is us figuring it out. And you have to put those shots up. You have to do those little pay-to-play shows sometimes. You do have to perform for maybe 1 or 2 people or nobody. Just understand that when you
figure outside the box ways to book venues.
Yeah. And when you book these venues, even if it's 1 or 2 people, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't perform. This is practice. You're literally practicing. This is you going to the gym. So that way there, when you finally hit the big leagues and you hit that big stage, you know exactly what to do with it.
Exactly. And I think this is a conversation that's going to resonate with a lot of artists out there.
Yeah.
I think we gave them another one, some more heat.
Yeah.
This is Figure It the Fuck Out.
Put that shit out. All that shit that's on your hard drive, put that shit out.
Yeah.
If you need it mixed, holla at me.